Not hard for you to do, but hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, you got a little pretty going on, Juan. Come on, stop it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. You just got a little off the scene comments right now, but I am your host, good old JR, as from the All Sports Talk podcast. Now, usually when we do the Silver and Bro show, I am usually joined by my brother. It's just my brother is a little busy right now. He's putting in his final preparations of getting his home in Nevada. So he's kind of out and about right now. Yeah, he's
Hey,
out and about right
congratulations
now.
to him.
But luckily for me, I always have amazing backups. With me today, the lovely, my good friend Maria. How we doing today, Maria? How's it?
Doing good.
How's the weather out there in California? How we looking?
Even though it's supposed to be fall, it still feels like that spring about to turn summer. The
Oof.
humidity is just crazy. The sun's a little stingy hot for this time of year. I don't know. Something's not off. Something is not right. So we're going to look to a short fall, maybe
Yeah.
a month of winter, and then it'll be 100 degrees like in 3 more months. So, but other
Okay.
than that, good. Yeah.
Yeah, we are getting to the point now where it's gonna be getting colder here in this desert that we love to call Nevada. Pretty soon we're gonna wake up, it's gonna be 35, and then when we go to bed, it'll be 15. So we have our blankets. We have our blankets ready to go. Yeah. Who
Yeah.
wants to live out here, right? Like who
Yeah,
just
right. It's only Vegas, Sin City. The Raiders are out there. The
you,
city never sleeps. Who wouldn't want to
yeah.
live out there? I hear a lot of people like it, and a lot of people don't. I think if people have been there, probably are maybe over all the visitors and stuff. But for somebody who,
It's okay. Like I said, I'm okay with it. It's pretty cool. I enjoy it because I'm more of a like cold weather person myself, but
Mhm.
we'll see how this goes. We'll see how my family their first year moving out here. It's like, how do you guys like it so far? They didn't like the summer, so we'll see how they like the winter.
Oh yeah, let's see how you guys do. You guys let me know about that. Even though
But
we will be out there in December, so
yeah,
yeah, looking forward to that.
oh yeah, most definitely the Bronco game, right?
Yes,
All
Bronco
right,
game.
perfect, perfect.
Yes,
I will definitely see you there.
yes.
But like I said, usually when I do these shows, it's with my brother. We talk about the Raiders. It's just he's a little busy. So Maria, me and you, we're gonna take the ship and we're gonna go for a wild ride on this one. So it's been a minute. All right, since
Right.
I've talked a little bit about Raider ball, and it feels like an eternity with this team. Last time
Yes.
I talked about this team, they were getting prepared to play the Eagles, and boy, did they prepare well. They just looked amazing. It was back to back games where, for the first time in a long time, I can truly say the Raiders played two complete games. They just played amazing. They looked amazing against Denver, and they looked amazing against Philadelphia.
Yes, they
What
did.
can I say? I mean, everything was just clicking. Carr was finding the receivers, the offensive line was holding, the defense is just night and day compared to last year. They're doing their thing. What are your thoughts on this season so far? I mean, I know we talk on a regular basis on this team, but
We
I
do.
want to know your initial thoughts so
Um,
far halfway through the season.
and for me, I don't talk a lot of it, and of course, I run the group. I'm kind of like the mommy. I sit back and I let them go at it. Sometimes I'll have something to say, but for me, again, I've been a fan long enough. Yeah, I was excited about the first 4 games and thought, oh wow, look at us go. When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Right? A lot of people, oh, you're not a fan. You think that way. Well, I've watched enough Raider football. I know when I
Like,
get to week 8, then I get that little fill. And I'm
yeah,
like, okay, don't do this. But, again, just we had a few good games and we had those 2 games in a row that just made us look like, okay, we're getting back to that again. Um, again, the circulation about Gruden what parting ways with the team. I don't want to say that I was a little worried about it at first because watching, I was one to be excited. I'm okay that Gruden was coming back. But since his departure, we've obviously seen what the team has done. We see the chemistry on the field. I
yeah.
mean, it's been great. Carr looks more relaxed. He's on the sidelines doing the what I've always wanted was for him to engage and have conversations on the sideline with his receivers, get with his running backs, and you're seeing more of that. He's getting those guys out there. He's not sitting there because I feel like Gruden just like, okay, you did your job, sit down, wait for his time to come back out, you know.
And you bring that up, and the multiple times I've talked to you, and the multiple times you have joined, you've always said that I want Carr to be more interactive, to be more, vocal and everything. And, call it what you want. Josh Jacobs did a little subtle shot, after the game of saying, something bad happens, nobody's going crazy, nobody's cursing, and it's like, okay, that was kind of a little bit of a subtle shot. I get
Just a
it,
little bit.
but it's true. I mean, this team just looks really relaxed. I mean, it's very. This team is just different. Like this vibe of this team is just different from offense to defense. It's just a very different vibe, and it was funny to me because me, I'm one to not shy away when it comes to draft time or draft anything.
Oh yeah.
When I didn't like I said, and I've told you this, I told my brother this, I told people this all the time. I'm never gonna get mad at a kid being drafted where he's drafted because it's not his fault. It's not his fault being drafted where he's drafted. Okay, it's not like he physically, held hostage to the franchise to draft him. No,
Exactly.
I just always said, look, in my opinion, was Alex Leatherwood worth a 20 overall pick for a tackle? Probably not. But for a guard, okay, because that's where I kind of saw him. I never really saw him as a tackle. I saw him more as a guard. And I know you're a big supporter of this show, and you always heard me say he has to move inside. I'd rather have him move inside because I think that's going to be a better fit,
Right. Right.
And
Right.
these last 3 games after that Chicago game, he's really been improving. I
Yeah.
mean, granted, he's not the best guard in the world, whatever it is. But people always kind of say, "Well, man, is it too early? Do we already consider him a bust?" It's like I don't think so. I don't think it's a bust. I just think what it is, it's people want results right away, Hall of Fame results right away with first round.
Raider fans want results right away.
Exactly, and
Okay. And I'm not afraid to say that. And if there's anybody out there that wants to call me out on that, feel free to, because I speaks the truth when it comes to that. Raider fans accept Super Bowl. Once we get the 4 top draft picks, we're going to the Super Bowl. No, it's unfortunately doesn't work that way.
It's not working out that way. And you've heard me say, I prefer Alex Leatherwood inside. And my brother and everybody just, like, is it too soon? It's like, no, it's not too soon because the Raiders are you got to go to the playoffs. You have no choice. Everybody's playing for their job. Everybody. Mike Mayock, everybody. I mean, it's playoffs or bust with this team. Now, granted, there's a bunch of off the field issues that just happen, with Gruden, with Ruggs, all that stuff. And, somebody's going to be out there. Yep, I already got my first one. What do you think about the Ruggs? We'll touch that in a little bit. Me personally, I love the way this team is going. I love the direction of this team. I love the way they're playing. Defensively, it's night and day. From Gunther Bradley's defense, or from Paul Gunther's defense to Gus Bradley's defense, it is night and day. Now, it helps that we have players that know the system, and that's fine. And I'll take anything in this point. But man, it has been a long time since I've said this. I trust this defense more than I trust this offense. You know how hard it was for me to say that?
Hold on. I want to just take a second there and just take in what you just said, because you have always been one to not trust. I know we did a couple of these shows last year and our year before, and we talked about the same thing. I don't think anybody trusted the defense. I think I'm going to join you with that. I'm extremely comfortable with this defense. They are, Crosby is talking with the secondary. Him and Abram are in each other's face. Every play, they're in each other's face. So that shows that they're on the same page. It's not relying just on the front. They know that the boys have a job to do in the back of them. Hey, we got your back. If you guys collapse, what are we doing? So that's one thing that I think I'm not worried about any offense. And they've shut some, game potentially winning against us plays and things like that, where they look great. I mean, I'm with you on that one. I think we second agree on something. Had to give you a hard time about that one.
Oh yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard for us to ever agree. And personally, when I see this defense, it just, like I said, it's night and day. It sucks we didn't have this defense last year when we were rocking and rolling offensively. That would have been great.
We would have swept KC.
That's it. But it's just weird to me that, and we have guys that some of our guys, and some of them are outcasts, which is what we normally do. We get the outcasts, the ones that nobody wants. And it's just funny to me, the guys that are really contributing are really guys that were already kind of either labeled as bust, washed, past their prime. I mean, one example is Solomon Thomas. And, from the get go, I said, okay, if anybody's going to rejuvenize this dude's career, it's going to be Gus Bradley because he's going to put him in the best position. He said, look, man, you're not an end. I don't know what San Francisco was doing to you, but you're not a defensive end. You're a defensive tackle, 3 technique. That's all I need you to do. Just create pressure good enough to where the secondary can just do their job. And Solomon Thomas has been doing just that. Denzel Perryman, he was already considered out the door by the time he got to Carolina. Didn't work out with the Chargers. Wasn't working out in Carolina because he was falling so beyond the depth. We needed a linebacker, and they're like, we're getting a linebacker that's already past his prime, and his best football is already behind him. And from what he's showing, he still has a lot of football left.
Oh yeah,
Casey
he's physical.
Hayward,
He's fast. He's. I like him. I really like this play.
Casey Hayward considered washed. Chargers didn't want him. Green Bay traded him at the right time, and Casey Hayward has been nothing but a professional this whole time. And I cannot say anything good enough with the 2 safety tandems that we're going to have for the next 12 years. Morig and Abram. We're good. That's an amazing safety duo. We are good.
And I really just want to talk about Abram. Like, I know first year, he wants to take somebody out. We lose him for the season. So he technically really had his rookie season last year.
Mm-hmm.
Take it easy with the hits. Calm down. You're a bull. We get it. You can hit. You can pop. But the missed tackles, he wasn't tackling properly. He was missing and get Littleton on the feet. But whatever happened this offseason, I think he's matured. And we don't know credit the locker room or where that came from. But I think he's finally realized, hey, this is big boy ball. If I'm going to continue to be a starter and become a star player, franchise player for this team, that he's really got to work on those key component things, which I'm on the Abram wagon this year.
Yeah, Abram, credit to either Gus Bradley or credit to Ron Mullins, the defensive backs coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's really worked with them. And Abram, if we were to put tape of him last year compared to this year, 2 totally different players.
Agreed.
He's not giving up the big plays as he used to. He's not missing his tackles. He's really on the ball. He's always on the play. Mm-hmm. And that's just a great future to have for a safety. When you can go, instead of being just vertical, he's sideline to sideline. He's everywhere.
He has the help. He has the help now.
He's really becoming more, because there was a point where we were talking about, well, what if we switch him to linebacker? We need linebacker help. Now it's like, hey, Ron Mullins, I got this. Let me teach him, and he'll improve. And from night and day, it's like, hey, now with Merrick, the rookie safety who's been playing just incredible. It's like, wow, he's exactly what we were supposed to draft. A center field safety who can cover, and he can also tackle and just cover range from range. Okay, check. And Alex Leatherwood now is starting to play that late first rounder, at guard. I get it. For some people, we needed a tackle. But if this kid succeeds and he has a 13-year career at guard where he helps our team with the run game, I'm all for it, man. I don't care. Wherever you excel, I do not care. Just do it well. That's all I care.
Well. Yeah, and now, I agree.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Now, to the Eagles game, I will say this. The Eagles
before we say Eagles, I think you missed somebody that I think needs a little bit of credit. I think when we brought him on, I think he was a little misplaced. I got it. Again, you obviously know from the group, we are chatting all day in that group of 8 of us in that Raider group. And they're talking about everything, and there's the frustration level. And I don't know if they're following or watching, but we have one that was not a big fan of Corey Littleton. Corey Littleton has made those adjustments. He has been very effective. This too. So I want to just make sure we remember him out there. And
it's everybody. Everybody's playing their part on the defense. Everybody. And
I like it.
It's weird to see Faison just get starting snaps already. Mm-hmm. Even though we picked him up from the Chargers practice squad right away, it's like, bam.
And
Guess what?
he's
I
on.
got this. I got this. And it's like, okay, so we just pick anybody up, and I guess it works. I
It's like,
guess.
hey, get out there. We'll go ahead. We'll see if it works. If not, then we go
And
pick up
here's the
somebody else
thing.
for a year.
And now here's the crazy thing about it. It's, when obviously we were all like kind of like shooken up. I mean, I was shooken up when Mullen went down because I was like, oh no, now
Oh, yeah.
what? And then I'm like, is Arnett ready? I don't know. But then Faison went in and he goes, we're good. And I'm like, so Mullen coming back sooner rather than later, it's like, okay, we're just getting more help now. We're
Yeah.
just getting more help. Now, I know, people want to touch on this. Okay, listen. The only thing I want to say about the Henry, because I have it on Instagram Live too. The only
Okay.
thing I'm going to say about the Henry Ruggs situation, he knows what he did. He's young. We were all young. We've done mistakes. And it's like I always tell everybody, your mistake today can change your world tomorrow, good or bad. And you have to deal with that. So as far as Henry Ruggs is concerned, I pray for him. I pray for the family that is involved as well. Because the hardest thing to do in life is to forgive after you've been hurt. And that's the hardest thing. Second hardest to containing happiness. So if they can find it in his heart to forgive him, good. If not, then hey, all I can say is that's their problem. That's Henry Ruggs' problem. I feel bad for the family, and I hope everybody involved just gets over it and they just live on with their peaceful lives as best as they could.
Yeah, I agree. I'll just take about a minute to talk about that too. I know at first it was a split. People were right away. We've had players do some things
Right.
across the league, and we're like, oh, and when it's in your own team's backyard, it's a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
So for me, hearing it, I was like, oh, for me, I'm like, as a fan, your first reaction, okay, 99.9 of us, like, oh my gosh, our season's gone. But when everything unraveled, it's real life and it's happened. It's very tragic
Yeah.
as some more has come out. We want to pray that for everybody involved, him himself, and the young woman unfortunately who lost her life. I mean, is in Rebel. I don't have very many conversations about it because it's real life
It's a
thing
real thing.
again.
It's a real thing. It's real life. Like this isn't a game. This is real life. And people tell me, this whole week, especially where I work at, it's like, what do you think about it? And I'm like, what do you think about the team? And I'm like, the only thing I can say about the team is I can only worry about the players that are there.
Mhm.
I learned that from Mike Zimmer, from one of his seminars. It's like I can only worry about the players that are there. So as far as Henry Ruggs, I wish him the best, but I have to keep going on, and he has to deal with his stuff. So,
And we have some games to play. The show
mhm.
must go on, and we have to go forward.
Now
Nothing magical is going to change what happened. He will not be suited up this season. I mean, I know there's nothing, but we have to go on. We have a lot of people, and somebody said it very well. I think it was Ryan who said it's not about next man up. Okay, it's not about next man up. It's just how well this team is going to come together and deal with it. And those they have relationships. And really quick, just to close this, I know everybody's probably just eager to have a conversation about this, but we are talking about coming off our bye week here. Let's, and me, let's talk about DC again. That man is truly the heart of this team. He definitely showed the support.
yeah,
He's a very
and
spiritual man. I'm sure he's put his prayers out, but I mean, that's their brotherhood, and he's
that's
not
what
one
I
to turn
mean.
his back on anybody. So I really credit the leadership that he had. Listening to him on the press conference live the other day was really, you could just see the emotions. And, whatever the stories are out there, whether he talked to him an hour or so prior, there's just so much out there. I just exhausted myself in trying to put together because it's not going to benefit.
And that's what I
What
mean.
happened?
And to close it out on this, and that's what I mean. It's to learn how to forgive, and that's what Derek, and that's what I mean. If you look at the Derek Carr presser, it's like, look, man, I forgive you and I love you, but I have to move on. But that doesn't mean I'm going to turn my back on you. I got to take care of my job, but I will always love you, and that's what he wasn't Derek Carr the quarterback. He wasn't Derek Carr the football player. He was Derek Carr the human, and I
The
think we
human.
can all take a little page out of that.
Yeah,
We all get caught up in the negativity and it's so easy
Not
to
so much
hate.
of his fan.
You know,
And again, really quick, I have my baby wants to say hi. So really quick, with him, I mean, he's from the central, well, he's from Bakersfield, Central Valley still, played at Fresno State. We all know what he's done there. He continues to do a lot of things for the local hospital here. So he's very well. I mean, they see him as Fresno State Derek Carr. Now as the NFL, we have a big fan base out here, but he's just a human. Everything he does, if you ever listen, if anybody has ever heard his speeches when he does them at the hospitals, what he does for communities and churches and stuff, people have constantly thrown on him, oh, focus on your career over there preaching, you're making commercials and this and that. I think we all truly genuinely seen who Derek Carr is this past week.
and there's no front with him.
None.
That's just him. That's
Mhm.
just him in general. And people, I've heard that his whole career. It's like, you got to focus on your thing. And it's like, look, guys, like he's yes, he's an NFL quarterback, but at the end
Mhm.
of it, what's going to happen is eventually down the road, he's no longer going to play. So I can only judge him on what he does on the field. Now, as a human being, he seems like he's genuine, and he seems like a guy that I would love to have a nice dinner with because he's just that genuine. But as a football player, I can only critique him on his play. Now, what he wants to do outside, that's on him. You know what I mean? But
Right. Like
but what
nobody is
we
going to
saw,
tell me it's not okay to have my beer after work. Like, nobody.
it but what we saw in that presser, it's like, look, that's not him fronting, that's him genuine because that's what he's done every single year is show the human side of himself. So
Yeah.
it's not the Derek Carr, and people want to give him heat for what he said, which I found kind of weird. But it's like, look, he's just being a human. He's learned enough to know what it's like to get hurt but forgive, and I think
And
that's
that's it.
what we should
Right.
all learn. And that's a different type of love, man. That's a
Different.
hard love to obtain, and that
Mhm.
takes years to learn. But it's good that he found it in his heart, and that's just him being genuine. Now, let's talk about the Giants. So
Let's do
the
it.
Don- now, unfortunately, we're not going to get the full of the Giants. We're Saquon's out, Sterling Shepard's out, but we cannot overlook the Giants. I mean, these guys. The problem with these guys is they don't have the wins, but they look impressive. They just don't know how to finish. That's
They
the only.
have us 52.3 at their 40 something. So it's almost a 50-50 split
And
right
that's the thing.
now.
And the thing is, to me, is the Giants are a good football team.
Mhm.
I really, Daniel Jones is finally starting to kind of turn that little corner. Yes, the turnovers are still kind of a little bit of a problem, but he's kind of minimizing that as the season progresses. Now, obviously, it sucks. Saquon Barkley's not there, whether it's injuries, and now he's put on the COVID list.
Right.
Sterling Shepard's dealing with his injuries. Kenny Galladay's really not living up to what they paid him to be.
Mhm.
And, the defense is pretty much keeping them afloat because that defense is good. You got Bradbury, who's an amazing corner. You
Right.
got Landon Collins, who's an amazing safety.
I
Leonard
like that
Williams,
guy. I've always been a Collins fan.
yeah. And Leonard Williams, who's one of the better defensive linemen in this league. I
Mhm.
mean, so the Giants have talent. That's not the issue. They just don't know how to finish these games.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the Giants. So what I'm really looking forward to is how's Rich Bisaccia going to handle this? Because he's had one of the weirdest internships for a head coach I've ever seen. You
Hmm.
have to take over for Gruden after that fiasco.
Big
Your
shoes.
your bye week was disastrous. Let's just put it that way. It was a disaster. There's always a joke. Can you lose in the bye week? Yes, you can. Yes, you freaking can. Okay, those are some of the most dangerous weeks in the NFL season. Now you have to deal with this whole Arnett thing coming out, and now you have to deal with, okay, how are we going to prepare the Giants, who just gave the Chiefs a game of a lifetime that they could have won had it not been for an offside penalty. So again, for me, it's very simple. The defense has to attack the weakness of this team, which is
Mhm.
the offensive line. That offensive line for the Giants, it's not the worst, but it's no freaking Great Wall of Dallas. Okay, it's none of that.
Okay,
Okay,
Juan, don't get those fans rattled up. Okay, very. Dallas is playing some good ball, but
now
yes.
I will say this. They have to attack. Yannick has to keep being Yannick. Crosby
Mhm.
just has to keep attacking. And the defensive tackles, they have to really step up. Jonathan Hankins looks like he might be coming back, so that might improve our run game, which has
Right.
been kind of slipping ever since he got to kind of get hit with that little injury. But he is coming back. It looks like he's a full participant these last three practices. So, from what it looks like, we might get our run stuffer back with Solomon Thomas and all those guys. So, for me, it's very simple. Defensively, attack the Giants' offensive line, and we don't blitz a lot. So they're already bad as it is
Right.
statistically. So if we can just get with our four, the rest of our defense can just play their assignment, do whatever it is they have to do.
I agree. It starts with that front there, and I'm not going to put against this kid. He's developed. I remember watching him week two. I don't remember if it was a week two when it was, but they played that Sunday night or Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
Was nail biter. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they played their hearts. It's unfortunate it ended the way it did because I was like, man, here we go. They're actually this kid, and he was so happy, and I was like, look at that, because you chose that game. I won't
Mm-hmm.
forget it. So every time those games, I go, Juan said it, Juan said it. But again, I say it all the time. I'm not a fan of anybody saying, "Oh, this is an easy game. This is an easy
No,
win, easy win."
no such thing.
Um, okay, Chicago should have been a somewhat easy, but there was the whole circulation with Gruden. Khalil Mack, I literally I don't know when we're going to stop fearing him. I don't. He plays his ball. He's one person, but he can do some damage as a one person. But I don't want to talk about Khalil Mack because I know some people are still in Khalil Mack love, and he is not a member of my team. He's a great player. I mean, I'm a Players fan, you know that. But anyway, back to it's not. No game is easy. You can wake up feeling it. You can wake up not. But the way this team has played, that defense is ready. I think this team has matured, and they've been through a lot just in the last 3 weeks since Gruden's departure. There, they've had to deal with and then deal with what they're going through now. To me, I think it strengthens them. They come out with momentum. They come out with their heads up high, and they're going to play. They're going to play. They're going to play some good ball. I have a real feeling, but again, they cannot make mistakes. They cannot let up. The secondary cannot get caught sleeping. Do not get too comfortable, okay?
No.
Because you know how we get woken up. You know,
Oh,
kid likes to throw. He takes little shots down the field. I've watched him a little bit last week and watched
oh
the
yeah,
KC
no.
game. And
Daniel,
yeah,
see, here's the thing about Daniel Jones. I think what Daniel Jones is, he could be a really good quarterback. I just think he's in the
mhm,
wrong system.
mhm.
I think what he
He
needs
looks
to
like
do,
an AFC quarterback.
he needs to go, honestly, he reminds me of a taller Rich Gannon. He needs to go to a West Coast system because this whole, yeah, he's mobile, but this whole RPO thing is not working out for him. It's not working out for him. He really needs to go to a play action team, like a Cleveland, a team like that where I think his skill set can excel. And that's pretty sad to say because it's like, that should be Baker. But I mean, I'm pretty sure if we throw Daniel Jones with Cleveland, I think his skill set
Right.
will actually excel a little bit more. But
I agree.
listen, I like Daniel Jones. And the thing with Daniel Jones is he can beat you with his legs. He's proven that. He's made some amazing throws. Now, unfortunately, there's times where, like any other quarterback, he makes some indecisive throws that he gets a little too comfortable. And he just starts thinking, okay, I know I can thread it in there instead of playing his normal, okay, let me find the soft spot and then I'll go there. And then there's times he just wants to thread it in there just to prove a point, and
And I
that'll
can
turn
do
over.
this.
That's where and I think it's like, I don't want to label him game manager. I really don't, because I think he could be more than that on the right system. I just
Mhm.
think in this case, he has to be a game manager if he wants to give the Giants a shot to win this week. Now, on our offense, the best way I see we can attack this defense, honestly, somebody's going to have a breakout game. And I have a feeling it's going to be your guy. I think Hunter Renfro is finally due for one because I think this guy has the perfect touch to route a defense who is giving up the most yardage to slot receivers in the NFL. And I think your guy, Hunter Renfro, is going to have the biggest game not just of the season, but of his whole career. I think this is going to be the one.
That's why I am pulling him off the bench to play this week. And against, actually, I will not say who's on my teams, but I'm actually going to sit him. I'm actually going to start him and sit somebody who should, without a doubt, will give me those points. But I feel exactly the same way. Watching the game, they Case, I mean, just watching that secondary, I mean, they were on hill. Like, I mean, Mahomes had trouble connecting with it for a couple plays, some really good big plays down the field, and I was like, oh wow, that's who we're gonna play.
Yeah.
So again, we got to hit him in the slot, hit him in the throat where it hurts. We lost our depth. I hope that Edwards does break out a little bit. We see some more action from him as well. Let's mix it up with. Foster played impressive. I will not ever say, hey, it's not Waller time, and Waller is back. We know why, the urgency to bring Waller active. I hope he is ready to go and not just under the circumstances. But Foster, my goodness. Let's talk about Mr. Moreau.
Yes, that's a name that it's always funny, depending on who you're talking to. It's like, well, I think he could be this, or well, I think he could be that. Let me tell you what Foster Moreau is. Foster Moreau is just a balanced tight end. He can block, he can catch. He's never going to be the next Tony Gonzalez. He's never going to be any of this. But what he is, he's a well-balanced tight end that fits perfect with us and a perfect complementary piece to a Mr. Darren Waller. That's what he is. Goal line situation, whether you want him to block, he'll do the dirty work. You want him to catch? He showed it against Philadelphia in the goal line. It's like, hey, red zone. Oh, he's there.
No problem.
He's there. And that's what he is. He is a balanced tight end who can play 100 yards, but where he really excels at is that red zone. And that's where it's like, hey, once we get him there, double tight end sets, do what you got to do, and may the best man win, and that's it. Now, yes, our wide receiver core did take a little hit, obviously. So now we got Brian Edwards, Zay Jones, Hunter Renfro, and now we also have Mr. Dylan Stoner, who just got activated from the practice squad, who had and that's a familiar name for me because he did have kind of a good to okay preseason. I don't expect him to get like acclimated right away. But you never know. We've seen some weirder stuff. We've seen some weird stuff. Now,
we never know. I mean, Libby, you can name, I'm pretty sure, just like you can name 3 players that come off of that in different teams. I was like, oh, okay, that worked out well. And then we know the outcome to that, so.
I mean, it seems like that's the theme of the team this year. It's like, hey, we'll plug them in and they'll work. It's like, we'll hold on. It works for defense. Let's see how the offense looks now.
Yeah, it is a total different. But, with everything that's going on, I don't know if Carr had any time to even have a conversation with him and, kind of,
if anything, it was a quick
reps if he will take any. But DC, at this point, he's running that offense. That's what we've wanted. He just say, hey, dude, just hit. I'm going to hit you. Just keep running. So hopefully we've got it. I want really more anything is to show that we still can and we will. Well, I mean, they're going to walk on the field with a lot of emotions, but they have to understand that they're there to do their job. Mm-hmm. Okay. Don't you fans just got to I'm not saying, I understand what the team's going through, but it's just like when my kids have one of those, hey, you can't go out there and let it affect your job. Okay. You have a job to do. So let's go out there and get it done.
Now, I will say this, though, speaking of, our depth again at wide receiver. Now, I don't know if you know this. There's 2 names that just hit the waiver wire, and I think from what my friend is telling me right now, OBJ is still working through the waiver wire, and he hasn't really been picked up yet because one, I don't expect him to get picked up because if they do, somebody has to take on that $7.5 million hit. I don't know who's going to want to take that, especially for a guy that's only had 27 catches all year. So all I'm going to say is this. Maria, where we stand today, if you're Mike Mayock, do you make the call to OBJ?
I think we do.
Oof. Oh, boy, here we go. And this is where you're going to see why we never agree on anything. But go ahead, Maria.
Here's here's what I'm thinking. Okay, and it's so hard to keep up. We have all these sources putting out all these
Mhm.
rumors and everything. You know, there's somebody, I don't know if I have to add him to a group, but there is a fan in the group who's just totally against it, and I will tag you on his comment after this. He totally lays it out and explains it and says exactly why. And he did mention, why do we want someone with X, just how he said, 27, 26 catches? People are like, his ego is going to bring it. But, they're like, oh, this is why, Mayfield didn't throw to him. There's all these excuses. It's still
It's always
OBJ. But
it's never
yeah,
the person's fault.
it's
Never is.
never. It's
It's
never.
never the. It's ne-
I think I say that in only in a fan standpoint where, well, you said if I'm Mike Mayock, so I should have said no, but in a fan standpoint, I'm thinking, okay, we are just right there. We are right there. Um, Having somebody like that with that energy, I don't know if it's going to be a OBJ, hey, it's about me, or is it going to come, hey, I want to be part of this team and get you guys to, through the playoffs. I have seen some restructure. I forget who they did a restructure to somebody's contract. Are they making
Jalen.
money? Yes,
Jalen.
and that's who it was. So, there's something up the sleeve. I would rather have the other one, to be honest
Deshaun.
with you. Yes.
Deshaun. Okay. Why Deshaun? I mean, what could he possibly do at this point of his career that we don't already have? We already got our slot guy in Renfro. Brian Edwards is looking like a really good wide receiver. Like he's finally coming into his own. And I want to see what Zay Jones have. What can at this point? The only thing I guess I'm going to ask is, what can Deshaun offer us? Like as a fan, like
Distraction.
uh,
Yeah, that was the easiest answer I could think of. But
uh,
I think if you really look at, okay, so for me, okay, now let's talk in the real. I don't think either would be truly highly beneficial if we're not going to grow and we're not going to get these guys established in this system and whatever. Whether we do bring on a new head coach next season or we're going to do, but what's going to happen when we do next year? We're in growing pains again.
yeah.
Okay. We are in growing pains again. And that's just the reality. We don't know who it's going to be. Is it, are we going to stick with what we have now? Or are we going to choose some search? Because honestly, I will be real. Nobody wants to head coach for this team. Nobody does.
It's hard.
Nobody hardly wants to play for this team.
And I keep saying that, and people are like,
Yes.
"You're just a hater." It's like, well, let me tell you something.
It's not
When
a
you
hater.
haven't
It's reality. You
when
don't
you
see,
haven't won any,
nobody's calling us.
when
Nobody's
you
calling
haven't
us.
done anything in 20 years, it's pretty hard to convince people to join us. So
Nobody's calling, begging to put on a silver and black jersey at this. We've seen some great. Hey, well, I wouldn't have. It would have been like, but
like that's why
maybe
I
2 years
appreciate.
ago, I would be like, okay, Von Miller needs to get on this team, but not now. He's got the last couple of seasons. He's been okay, but he's not reaching out to us. Say, hey, what do you guys? Not that we. I mean, I'm impressed. I'm okay with our front. I'm good, but I'm saying like that.
It's
Nobody's anxious to come and
I'm
play for
gonna
us.
say this much as far as the rumor, and like obviously Odell Beckham Jr. is now a free agent. Now the fan in me says no, I do not want OBJ,
Okay.
but the Mike Mayock in me, we got to bring him in. The only reason as a fan and from what I see is, listen, Baker's dad, Baker Mayfield, Odell, they can all say what they want because
Mhm.
it's nobody's ever's fault until down the road we can all make kiss and make up again. It's nobody's ever fault until that point. Now, the reason I say no in this situation is me personally, I just do not think he will mesh with Carr. Because here's the thing with Carr. Carr's a lover. He'd be like, okay, Waller, it's your turn. Renfro, Jalen, Kenyon, Jacobs, Brian, Zay. Hell, at one point, Willie Snead was even getting looks at. Foster, you're up. It's the dude just, he's going to make sure that he's not just one sided like some quarterbacks are in this league,
Right.
Baker. And I just do not think that's going to sit well. That's the thing. I think Odell needs to go to a team where it's like, hey, man, he's the last old school diva. Me, me, me. I want
Yes.
my targets. I want my, and it's like, okay, dude, I get it. You're a wide receiver that wants his own deal. Cool. It's not going to be with us then. Now, unfortunately for Mayock, he's going to try to convince him, I believe, and I think Mike Mayock will pull the trigger. But me as a fan, I just do not think it will work. And especially this late into the year, I would prefer at this point, had the trade deadline passed, I would have called everybody, and just been like, "Hey, look, man, I would have called Green Bay and be like, Devontae's not going to be there next year, so what you want?
I would have gave up 2 first rounds for him.
Like, what do you want? He ain't going to be in Green
Just
Bay
if
next year.
I'm
What
Mike
you want?
Mayock.
What you want? Like, what? Because at least Devontae would be like, yo, I'll play with Carr.
Oh, we've
Like,
seen
yeah,
what
I'll
they
play
did.
with Carr. Yeah.
We've seen what they did in college together. And I want to go back to that because I was talking to my dad about it. I want to say this carefully, not saying had the Ruggs incident happened 24 hours before, we were with our backs against the wall at that point. We woke up to news. I don't think there was going to be any trades. I mean, come on, we're the Raiders. We don't do deadline stuff. Come on.
Well, I mean, I think one.
And I thought if that had happened, or I'm not saying unfortunately that it did, not that I didn't want to. I wish it never had, but had it been
different circumstances
before, so
yeah.
I think Mike would have been in there trying to. What do we do to get Devontae in here? I don't know. I just
yeah, because I mean, listen, I don't think it's the worst kept secret in the NFL. They're not going to franchise him. They're not. He's not going to be back in Green Bay unless like some miracle happens where like we'll pay you top dollar, the biggest contract in wide receiver history. Green Bay's not for that.
Yep.
They didn't even want to. They didn't want to give it Aaron. The only reason Aaron Rodgers got that offer was because the whole Jordan Love fiasco of like, oh man, he really doesn't look that good. And Aaron Rodgers just came off an MVP performance. So yeah, hey, you want to restructure? And here's how dumb it was for Green Bay to give Aaron Rodgers that contract. It was going to pass Jordan Love's 5th-year option. So even if they picked up that 5th-year option, they will still have Aaron Rodgers for 1 more year. And it's like, come on, man. So we know Rodgers ain't going to be back in Green Bay next year.
That man does not want to play for that team.
No.
He does not want to play for that
team. If they tag Devontae, it's just going to be another Le'Veon Bell situation where it's like, nah, man. I saw what you did to Aaron. I ain't going down that road. The staff of the Green Bay Packers showed their colors this offseason. Now, whether Aaron Rodgers is right or whether Aaron Rodgers is ignorant about it, the truth's in the pudding. The front staff of the Green Bay Packers showed their colors. Mm-hmm. At that point, if I was Mayock and like, hey, look, man, I got 2 first-rounders saying that you will give me Davante Adams. And we will pay. And we will pay Davante Adams to stay. It's like, listen, you want to play with Carr? Hell yeah. Let's get a deal done for both of you so you guys can finish your careers together.
That's gonna. I had goodness. I'm a fan of both. Obviously, being from Fresno, I'm just a huge fan of both. And every year I'm like, gosh, if we could just imagine. And people talk about it locally here. Why? Because it's Fresno. So everyone wants to see it. Even though a lot of these Fresno State Derek Carr fans are now 49er Cowboy fans, they were huge Derek Carr Devontae fans, and they'll say it too. They go, those two together, that would be like, I know this.
Like, I know what it's going to be together. And
it's going to happen.
That's what I mean. When I think OBJ, Derek Carr, nah, man, that's just not going to work.
And nobody's thinking that right now. Nobody's thinking. We feel we're in our backs against the wall. Yeah. Let's think about that. Really, are we going to hand out some money to a ego diva? Because OBJ, he's just been that. And you're right, exactly. I mean, you're right with Jackson. I mean, yeah, he had his time and stuff. But do we want to do that when we potentially? I mean, we're moving separate. Hey, let's make some room. Let's see how I don't want to say but it's one of those things. Well, I don't want to sit through the season and hope it works out because we didn't do something now. We didn't make it happen. We're already going on.
At this point, I'm more comfortable rolling with what we got.
I agree.
If we,
I'm with you on that one. When it comes to the real and my fan heart's out of it, and where I think we should be, that to me, let them both go. Let somebody else pick those guys up. They're the last of these veteran star, um, you know,
At this
players.
point, it's like for me, I rather again, it's a shitty situation. I rather draft one and we develop one because
Yeah.
what I don't want it to be is exactly what happened in Cleveland. I don't want it to be a forced marriage because at that time when Odell went to Cleveland, and I told my friend this, it feels like it's being too forced. Like Baker has to go to Odell, and it was a rest. And the sad part is when he went down, the team looked better. The team looked better without him, and
Chemistry.
I just felt like it was too forced. Like, oh, you're forcing this marriage to work, and you're bringing it on this young
We
quarterback.
left in an unhappy marriage.
It's like you want this to work, but you're giving this young quarterback no chance to breathe. He feels like he's obligated to do this. No, man, you gotta when you drop the young quarterback, you gotta bring in a young wide receiver so they can learn together, mesh together. That's the only way. That's the only way it works, and that's it.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say. I mean, you and I have talked ball for some seasons now. I mean, highly support and talking in my group, and I support everything that you're doing, which is great. I do follow. I was telling people about it, but I'm gonna go with this. I want to let's stick with what we have. It's somebody's got to step up, and the
That's it.
leadership in number 4 very well. We've seen that in the changes and what this offense has done. Let's look at that Eagles game. I mean, how many? Every receiver had a touch, multiple touches. Okay, Snead came out of nowhere, and I like it. Carr is able to call some of the plays now. It's not, hey, how come you didn't throw the ball? I called the play, and you see the frustration. There was a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of frustration with him and Gruden. Gruden,
Oh,
honestly, Gruden didn't like them. He just did not
I
like as his quarterback. I'm gonna say not as a person. I don't think he just,
I
yeah.
think I think Carl or I think well, let me put it this way. I think Gruden was in love with the talent. Not the play, not the name. He was just in love with the talent. And I don't know, like I get it, like they're next door neighbors, they visit, yada yada yada. But it's like I know Gruden was is never gonna say this publicly. It's like not that he didn't trust Carr, he just trusted him enough because he knew he can run it well. And the good saying of old Gruden was his favorite quarterback was the next one. And I just think that had he could, let's just play, what ifs. Let's say this never happened, whatever, yada, yada, whatever, perfect world,
Right,
right?
right.
Let's say they get to the playoffs. Carr's on his last year, next year. This is it. It's like, did they not go into the playoffs? It's like, well, I know there's not a lot of quarterbacks in this upcoming draft, but what if I give me a quarterback from last year's draft who's not looking too good and they're already ready to move on? And you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah,
and
and again,
I think that's the
Gruden's
problem
always
with
been a man of talents. He has. If you recall, right before the draft, I mean, Gruden did that ESPN where he did talk with Reese.
Gruden. Mm-hmm.
He was just in awe with Carr's talent. I was like, look, he's talking to my boy. He's talking to my boy. Gruden loves that man. He loves him, and he was just and just like looking at him, like he just found love for the first time. And so it
Exactly.
is. It was with his talent again,
It,
not the name,
it
because
was.
he's a talent
Put it
guy.
this
We all
way.
know him.
And put it this way: if Johnny Manziel had Derek Carr's talent, he would fall in love with Johnny Manziel. Not the person, but the talent. It was never about the person. Right? That's the way I see it because it looked like when Carr came into the league, it looked like he's one of those. I'm not gonna say weird, but it almost looks like he was honored to be drafted by the like that was his thing. Like he was honored. He's still honored to be the Raiders quarterback. Like I've never heard that. Like you're okay with this? He's like, look, man, I've had five different coordinators, 4 different head coaches, but I love being the quarterback for the Raiders. I'm like, you love this shit? Like
Right.
you're
And
because
he's just like, oh, I'm so to be a part of it. If he when he talks, it's like, oh, this was my dream to grow up and play for the Raiders. I go, who does that? I go,
Like, I think it's because like us fans were like, we
yeah,
haven't done
maybe.
anything in 20 years, and you're happy with this?
I don't. And people. I don't know if the comments. No, we're not ragging on the team, but in reality, there's people there. Look at the drafts when they get pulled up. That they're like this. No, because that's not the team they worked hard thinking one day when they were a little kid in their front yard throwing a football that I'm gonna go play for this team.
That was
Doesn't
not how
happen.
it was supposed to be,
Doesn't
but
happen.
that's the thing about Carr, and that's the thing with Gruden. It's I think he fell in love with the talent that he could unlock with Carr, but Carr, like I said, say what you want. I'm not the biggest supporter. I'm not the biggest hater. All I do is I just judge on what I see. To me, Carr is an amazing talent. He deserves to be an NFL quarterback because he does have that type of talent.
He does.
Now, do I think he can lead a team to a Super Bowl? I don't know. I don't know. That one is kind of like it's 8 years. Kind of it's you want to support him, but at the same time, you're kind of like, dude, it's been 8 years. When are you gonna, finally, take
You
us
know what
there?
he reminds me of? It's of like a Matt Ryan. You know,
Like, you're good, but are you that
Matty Ice
good?
was exciting for I've
For like those
quarterback.
three.
I'm a quarterback girl because of my dad. I
Mhm,
love QBs.
mhm.
And my dad, he's more in the college, and he's this draft guy, and I'll watch. Oh my gosh, yeah, and he just loves Matty Ice. So, and thinking about Carr now over the last 8 years, and I'm thinking of when Matt Ryan started, and I'm thinking of and then he went to that Super Bowl, and I was like, and I feel like there's some similarity. There was a
And here's the
time,
thing,
and bite
and
my tongue if you guys want to put chili in my mouth, but I really thought Derek Carr would be the next A-Rod.
now I already put it out there, and whether it was on your group, a bunch of Raider groups, and I said, look, if I was a GM and my franchise quarterback went down, I would love Derek Carr
Oh yeah,
only because at this point of his career where I see him now, maybe 4 more, 5 more years down the road, I could see him in a Nick Foles situation where he doesn't have to be the guy, but we know that he's talented enough where he's not going to mess up, and everything around him is perfect, and he'll get you, and he'll get you. Your team won't miss a beat. Let's put like when Carson Wentz went down, everybody's like, "Oh my God, how's Nick Foles going to do?" Well, the whole situation was perfect. The offensive
right.
line was on fire. The defensive line, and the whole defense was amazing. And special teams was one of the best special teams units in NFL history, where it's like everything was perfect. So all Nick Foles had to do was not screw it up. And I think that's what Carr will be in 5 years. It's like,
And he will still make those plays, and he'll be exciting to talk about. He will be that guy. I just don't want him to be that Trent Dilfer guy. I want him to be that Derek Carr guy if he
yeah, I
ever
don't
gets
want him to
there.
have that career.
I
Like,
don't want him
I don't
to
want him to
have
be
a
the Brad.
Trent Dilfer that
I don't want
guy.
him to.
I want
I don't
him
want
to
him to be the
be
Brad Johnson of his generation. Yeah,
yeah,
you're okay. Like, yeah,
goodness.
you're okay, but you weren't like the main reason why they won.
I'm
Like,
still like
like Brad Johnson.
Barber, and is the reason that Barber beat us single handedly. So yeah,
Yeah, that was nuts. That
yeah,
was a
yeah,
freaking
yeah.
nuts. But now, as far as the Giants go, I hope they don't overlook this. I hope Raider fans, yes, we're talking to you, Raider fans, don't overlook this because this is not a gimme game. There's no such. I hate that term. This should be a gimme game. This should be a gimme game.
Those terms, yeah.
There's no such thing as gimmies in the NFL. Never. No matter if the Lions are 0-8, they can easily beat the 7-1 Cardinals. It just could happen.
Let's
It,
not forget about that Jets game last season, everybody. We
yeah,
should
it
have
was
won
one
that
of those like,
game
oh my god,
easily. Yeah.
and
So
it's
I
just
wouldn't put it honestly. I mean, just to note on there, I'm not going to put anything past against that Giants defense. I actually was doing a little bit of recap on them today. I have watched them the last couple games. They're very well, obviously playing against the division this year. I see them sweeping. Do I see them getting swept by our division? I would say yes, but I hope we're not that one team that.
that blows it.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's all,
Because
and we don't know.
and this is what I keep telling everybody: the Giants are a good, talented team. They just don't know how to finish. Like, had they not done that offsides and they intercepted the ball, game's over.
Right.
Giants, because the Chiefs' defense was not going to stop the Giants' offense no more. That was enough of that. Like, that was enough. Daniel Jones and everybody else was rocking and rolling.
Right.
Nobody was stopping that. And that's the thing with the Giants. It's, look, I don't care what their record says they are. They're 2-5. I get it. But do they look like a 2-5 team? Not really, because they just don't know how to finish. The Raiders just need to regroup, refocus. However you planned on Denver, you got to have the same plan for the Giants, because they're not going to roll over so easily. Oh, you got problems? I got problems too. I'm trying to win a division. That's still not out of the question. Now with the Dak Prescott injury, that's still out of the question. We might be able to have a shot. So again,
that's going to be a good conversation Thanksgiving week. So we'll see, and we'll see where we are at that point, because that's going to be very tough to go into Arlington to play that defense. So I think we'll have regroup by then. I think we'll have regroup by then, one game at a time. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, because we do go to Arrowhead next Sunday night. Okay.
No, actually, they come here in Nevada. It's in Nevada.
Is it? Yeah. Oh, it is a Nevada game?
It is in Nevada.
Oh, okay.
My tickets are ready, and my grill is ready to go.
All right. Well, hey, that's the odds are better. I don't know why I thought it was in Arrowhead. Okay. So my crew will be in Porterville, California, doing a huge watch party. So look out for that. And if you guys want to ask me more about my crew, just ask questions.
Yes.
So again, wrap it up. Yeah.
Well, while you're at it, since you're on YouTube, why don't you introduce your group, so that way they want to find you on Facebook, and that way they can see the shenanigans that we do.
So, Juan, if you don't mind sharing it to your to the All Sports page, the Only Nation Raider Nation. We were at 30,000, but we got banned because Raider fans like to argue among each other. But we're building. We're back at 55,000. Juan will share it to his page and his group. We talk a lot of good football. Just be mindful and respectful. We're all there for one thing, and that is the Raiders. So we're all going to have different thoughts and opinions, but come in clean, come in friendly, and have a good time.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I said, it's just, like I said, I'm going to upload this video, and then we can share it to your guys' page and everything. So that way,
awesome.
Like, all right, Maria's on YouTube.
You know, these guys love hearing me talk ball, man. You know, they just love it. But I really thank you for coming. I've got to cut short here. It is Friday night, and you know what I'm behind on. You know, I got to get there. Yeah, no, it's been a good week. But yeah, thanks, man. Let's do it again. I mean, if you want. Of
course. Like I said, thank you so much for coming at short notice, for filling in for my brother. I will see you December for that Denver Bronco game. We will tailgate. We will party. We'll have a good time and everything.
It'll be fun.
I already got the parking pass ready to go. So
nice. I'm excited.
So all we got to do is just bring the other stuff, and we're done.
And I will have it.
Okay, there it is.
All right, Juan. Well, thanks. I really appreciate it.
All right, Maria. Will you take care? Say hi to your family for me, and then we'll talk soon, okay?
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
All right, you too. Bye, Maria. Take care now.